Well, greetings, this old sword fans. Here I am once again, bringing you another new knife. Yes, only been out about a month or maybe a little bit more, and it's my first knife. Comes in this little rifle case. Is it a little rifle? Maybe it's a rifle cigarette lighter? No, it's my first knife from the Tuya company, Tuya. Yes, a Chinese company. However, designed by noted American knife designer and knife maker, Jim Skelton. Look at this beauty. And he has a name for this. He's calling it the Scaphoid. That's very interesting because, you see, I had some recent surgery that I've been taking a while recovering from. And my CMC thumb joint is now resting on the scaphoid bone of the wrist. However, there's a broader meaning to scaphoid, which is a boat or boat shape. So this kind of shape, long ovoid. So that is what I am thinking he designed the scaphoid. Here we go. After, for those of you anxious to see the blade, panting heavily, or maybe you've learned to grow some patience watching my channel. Who knows? This is an interesting, very interesting compound ground blade, a hollow in here. One could call it kind of a derivation of a tanto, but we have a very distinct swedge at the top here that brings that, would normally be a tanto here and a maybe straight here, brings it out to kind of an arrowhead or spearhead, if you will. Very nice work done by the Tuya company. The inlays are interesting because look how intricate they made them, where they went around the body screw there that holds the backspacer in. And by the way, that backspacer contains a hidden lanyard hole. It's a frame lock. It is from S90V. In watching Jim's review of this very same knife, have it upside down, S90V, there you go. In watching Jim's review, he didn't want to do just plain old ordinary M390 like everybody else. And a lot of high-end knives made out of M390, but this is S90V. Don't have any HRC info for you, for those that are interested in the hardness. Does come with some very nice jimping. Doesn't look like it would be too aggressive, but each of those notches has some really good grip to them. Ergos. I'm going to jump right into the ergos, which folks like Metal Complex and a few others have mentioned. This flipper tab that becomes a guard sets back pretty far when it's opened. Now, I don't know how many design changes one would need to make in order to make that come forward a little bit. So here you can see it's well ahead of the pivot in the closed position. And it's got some very aggressive jimping there. No problems opening that at all. For me, and I always have to qualify things by saying for me, this kind of jacks me back a little bit on the handle, where I think if you grab this, you would feel it more comfortable to come forward a bit more and not have that square shoulder with the jimping on it hitting your finger. Now you can adapt. Certainly the most flexible element in any knife, weapons, or what have you system is the user. The user can adapt. The user picks up something and learns how to use it the way they are able to and want to use it. Maybe not to perfection, but the perfection comes with use. So I'm going to give Jim that much, that this may be fitting him very well, but There we've got that 90° with a little bit of a finger choil cut out there. Not really a choil, but a finger groove, if you want to call it that. And a pretty nice swell, nice kind of, and it's not a palm swell, it's a finger swell. Feels good right about there, and I can get my thumb all the way out onto the jimping. So palming that here, this feels pretty good. If I feel like I want to push forward at all, I really do run into those sharp jimps there and that rock wall. Okay, that is my only, if you will, criticism and dislike of the knife. Otherwise, it's very smooth, if not drop shutting. And we're going to measure it, the Scaphoid from Tuya by Jim Skelton. It is 8 inches, really, overall. When I say really, you might be able to say we can squeeze a tiny fraction more out of that, but it's 8 inches. And I'm going to call the blade 3.5, cutting edge. Something's hanging on my tape. There's the plastic of the tape. About 3.65 on the cutting edge, so we get a little more cutting edge than blade length. And since we're in inches, let's go for the handle first. It is less than a ½ inch, 0.47, and it is very nicely contoured. Blade stock, 0.11, which gives us 3.1 millimeters, just a little over 3. And close her up for the weight. We've got 3.985. I mean, let's just call it 4 ounces, shall we? Skosh under 4 ounces. So doesn't quite make the ounce per inch rule. That's fine for the blade length. We've got some very nicely done insets, inlays there. You can just feel a little bit the differentiation between the titanium and this very nice kind of a weave carbon fiber. And it's not that shiny, overlaid looking glossy weave. It's got a nice, soft stonewash, I would say, to it, including the titanium. Look how it hooks around past the front of the pivot. And we do have a nice place for the pinky. So if we consider that much, then you're not forcing the hand forward into the guard, flipper tab guard. But I just want to grab a knife, you know, and I want to get up near the pivot. And as my mind tells me to do that, I'm running into that. It's a tactile thing. It's hard to explain. You might be able to see it because I pointed it out there. But, you know, it could be a thing for you. It could not be. Retail on this MSRP is around $300, so it's not cheap. They have been coming in a little less than that, and I think Jim had a discount on them for a while. Don't know if he still does, using some kind of discount code MAGIC. Interestingly, okay, so the T8, what appears to be a T8, is on the right side of the knife. Shall we venture into Tuya land here and see if we can find a T8? That's a T8. And see if I'm right. And indeed I am. That is a T8. Body screws, well, there are no body, yeah, there are body screws. What am I talking about? Those look for all the world like T6s, and indeed they are T6s. Definitely less than a T8, whatever. Same thing with the clip screws. Clip is mounted with 2 screws from the surface. And no weight relieving on the inside, but that's pretty common when you have knives with inlays. Didn't put anything here, but that is a pretty difficult proposition to put material, inlay into the lock bar. Sometimes it's done, and then you can end up with a bolster lock or what have you. But let's look at something interesting. Here is the Civivi Baltar, which came out late last year in 2023. And look at that. Look at that compound grind. Now, flat here on this one, flat, flat. So 3 flats. Not sure if the light's picking up the grind here or not, but there you go. So you see that grind, right? Much wider. And you see that. So that's familiar, isn't it? However, we have a definite hollow in the initial main grind, flat and flat. I just thought that was interesting. I'm not saying one person's copying another or what have you. But if I go to yet another knife here, which is the Arcane Abyss by Israel Bacchus, we see not something that's going to be similar, but only similar in that we have a beautiful compound grind. And they sort of complement each other, you see. But we got more of that Bowie hook going on here with the fuller and all of that. Much more complexity. Well, I don't know about much more complexity. We got 2 main grinds here and a swedge up here above the fuller. And here we've got 3 grinds, including the swedge there. So you could consider that that's a 3rd grind there. It's a swedge, whatever you think. However you like to notate it. But it feels light in the hand. Full-size handle. Pretty good full-size blade. Very piercy, very pokey. And is it sharp? Will it cut paper? Terrible paper. Well, haven't touched it. Yeah, if I make sure I draw, but I can't push it through. Sharper knives, you can push them through the paper. I would say it's, medium sharp out of the box. Definitely piercy. You would expect that blade style to be very piercy. Always a little cleanup afterwards. So there you have it. One other to compare to, because it happens to be in my pocket, is the Microtech MSI. So this is not going to be as large as the MSI by a long shot, in way different blade shapes, but just for size comparison and perspective. Well, that's what we got. That's what she wrote. That is the Scaphoid Tuya knife, Jim Skelton design. Let me know what you think. And don't forget to give this video a like and subscribe if you haven't already. Got many more great videos coming out soon. Be well.